Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Norskins going up against the Greenskins. Let's get to the army compositions. As you can see, this is a modified version of my Happy Javelin Day build I showed off the other day. We've got 5 Marauder Horsemen. No Horse Masters this time. We went with the cheaper Horsemen, so I could go a little bit wider. Got the Beasts of Tashnar here in the forest with some Norscan Ice Wolves. 2 more units of Norscan Warhounds. We've got 2, count them, 2 Feral Mammoths here, just to be kind of the line breakers. A couple of Marauder Chariots. The Lord is going to be Wulfric on a chariot. We've also got Shaman Sorcerer, Lore of Death. He's got Spirit Leech and Doom and Darkness. Gonna try and go for some terror bombs here, and that's pretty much it for my build. For my opponent, he's got these Death's Creepers who are not long for this world. Then over here for the rest of his army, he's got some Savage Orcs in the front line. He's got the Rusty Heirs, a Giant Orc War Boss, and a Goblin Shaman. Looks like Crimson Killers and some regular Black Orcs, as well as some Savage Orc Boar Boy Biggins. So without further ado, let's get the battle underway, and you can see that these Death's Creep is just getting absolutely eaten alive here. I brought out the Beasts of Tashnar and the Norscan Warhounds just to come chew on them and finish them off here, and you can see those poor Death's Creep is not long for this world. So now that they're gone, we're going to go ahead and move out to the flat ground to kind of square up with my opponent, if you will. Yeah, those Death's Creep has definitely had a pretty rough time, but yeah, the idea here is that we're going to use these 2 mammoths just to kind of do a lot of anti-infantry armor piercing damage, while the rest of the forces just kind of hit and run and do the nice mobile thing. So you can see, going to be pushing forward here. My opponent, if he had started pushing forward at the beginning of the battle, might have been able to bottle me up to keep me from getting to this open ground, which I definitely would prefer to operate in. You know, being bottled up like either here or even up on this high ground here wouldn't necessarily be super beneficial for me, because I have a very mobile kind of hit and run type army here. You can see the Ice Wolves and the Beasts of Tashnar are going to come up and around here, probably go after these Orc Boar Boy Biggins. Meanwhile, in the front line, the Marauder Horsemen moving up to wish these Savage Orcs a happy Javelin Day. And yeah, the Savage Orc's going to be moving forward. My opponent doing what he should and returning fire with those goblins. That is going to do some pretty solid damage there. But the Savage Orc's also going to be taking some damage. Oh man, poor guy. Oh, and here we go. Looks like an Itchy Nuisance going down there just to make sure these guys stay debuffed. It would have been nice to have a Gorkle fix it, and I'm not sure if this is what he was actually thinking there, but Gorkle fix it, it's a speed debuff. Could help potentially slow some of these guys down so they could be caught. But Spirit Leech going down on the Orc War Boss, he's going to have to be careful not to get too separated from the rest of his army here. Meanwhile, over on the far side, you can see I am going to be able to catch these Savage Orc Boar Boys on the back hoof without them getting the charge off, which is definitely beneficial. Savage Orc Boar Boy Biggins, very high charge bonus, but just lower stats overall, so I'm not the biggest fan of them. They don't also lack an anti-large bonus, which you'd think they might have because they have this bigger and ardor trait here. You would think that that means they have anti-large, but in fact, they do not. Meanwhile, over in the front, you can see Wulfric starting to charge in to the Black Orcs here. He does armor piercing on his chariot, so as long as he doesn't stay sat on top of these Black Orcs for too long, he'll be okay. Savage Orc Biggins also following up as well as the Giant. Here comes the Mammoths, though. Ooh, a nice little gaze of Vindictive Glare, actually, I think it's called, hitting those Marauders. And here come the double Mammoths. My opponent is going to be pulling his forces back slightly here, but the Giant actually will do pretty well against the Mammoths here, as will the Savage Orc Biggins, obviously, with their anti-large and their high weapon strength. You can see this Mammoth comes in and actually hits that Giant, actually doing some pretty good damage to him. We're going to come in here with Wulfric, drop the Sea Fang, and we're also dropping the standard die, so that these are fighter die rather, so that the Feral Mammoths will have a bit more melee attack. Unfortunately, this one is getting whittled down by the Goblin Archers quite nicely, so that's not great for me, but meanwhile, the Chariot Squad, there's really nothing to stop these guys up at this point, so they're just running through Savage Orcs, doing a ton of shock damage here, and then going to be moving on to the next target. Meanwhile, the Marauder Horsemen moving up, everything going to be going after the Giant here. Looks like my opponent now deciding to use the Wa The giant actually gets knocked over by the mammoth there. It's the thick boy mammoth. And yeah, all the javelins going to be going after the giant. Unfortunately, doing a little bit of friendly fire to the mammoth as well, but chariots continuing to mess with the back line. We managed to pull away a couple savage orcs onto the ice wolves in the back there, just kind of distracting them. And yeah, the chariots are really going to be a big problem for the Greenskins at this point. There's really nothing to stop them up. And I know some of you guys have commented recently saying that I've been using chariots quite a bit, and that is true. I'm a huge fan of chariots. They're very, very effective in the right situation. You can see that Shaman Sorcerer dropping another Spirit Leech on the Orc War Boss, so he's not long for this world. The Giant was able to see off the other Mammoth there, so that's a bit unfortunate, but not without taking a ton of damage from the Javelins. And yeah, these Marauder Horsemen still completely safe at this point. Going to be able to just rain down Javelins continuously onto this Giant here. So poor guy, he's having a happy Javelin day. He's getting into the spirit of things, and yeah, soon he'll go down as well. The Greenskin force is just generally looking pretty tattered at this point. The Orc War Boss getting chewed on by Warhounds, taking a bit of damage there. Probably going to get routed off. The Giant goes down in a hail of Javelins, and with that, the Greenskins not looking too happy. You can see Wolfric and his buddy chasing off the Rusty Airs there, actually turn around at the last second to try and go after, I believe, what, Crimson Killers or Black Orcs, or I'm not sure, but yeah, the Chariot's definitely playing a very key role here. The Mammoths as well, coming back from route, being able to clean up some of these units in the late game there. You can see the Crimson Killers running for their lives, what few of them remain, and definitely not a fan of the Crimson Killers in general. But it looks like another Sea Fang going down on those Savage Orcs, who we did let catch the Marauder Horsemen there. We're going to go ahead and pull away one more time, just filling them full of all the Javelins in the world, leaving the Hounds to engage there. And the Mammoth following up with a nice terror route should be it. You can see the rest of the Greenskin forces routing, so yeah, that will be a victory for the Norskins. And yeah, I know some of you said this build is a little bit cheesy. This particular iteration of this build is a little bit less cheesy in my opinion than what I was doing with the Warriors of Chaos, but this is a matchup where I feel that the Norskins really struggle, and so I wanted to try this kind of asymmetric, very unorthodox style of build to see if it would work. Ended up working out pretty well in this particular battle. Now, I would say that there are some things about my opponent's build that definitely make you scratch your head a little bit. Personally, I would say you could cut the two Black Orcs. The Crimson Killers especially just aren't going to do a whole lot here, and just tank up on the Savage Orc Biggins. Like if you were to cut these two, upgrade all these guys to Savage Orc Biggins, because the Biggins have anti-large, they have good AP values, they have excellent combat stats, they'll just tear through most Norscan infantry, you know, Famir, most Norscan units in general without too much issue. So I would definitely like to see them instead. And then maybe some goblins, more goblin archers would have been nice to return fire and just sort of sit back with your Savage Orcs, try and out-skirmish the Marauder Horsemen. The Giant is another weird pick. The Norskins are basically their whole faction the flavor, if you will, is all about killing monsters, so to bring a big monster against them is always going to be a big risk. Granted, the Giant can be good in certain situations, especially with some of the buffs the Greenskins can bring to the table, but I would generally say you want to leave that guy at home, and I would go with more of a light cavalry focused build, you know, bringing more Spider Riders, Wolf Riders, giving them some chevrons so they can actually beat Marauder Horsemen in melee. That would give you some really good options there. In terms of the Lord choices, you know, not terrible, although Wurzag is inarguably the best. There are some other good options here, certainly. You know, Azag can be a decent option. You know, even somebody like a Goblin Great Shaman could potentially be a good option here. But even Skarsnik with his anti-large AP can do okay against Famir. But generally, I would say Wurzag's going to be your best bet because of the support buffs there. I've shown it off a million times, but just one more time here. Against the Norskins, I would say Brain Bursta, Fists of Gork, and Here We Go. And then you're going to want both the items, in particular the Bonewood Staff is the most important. Gives that nice map-wide buff every time you cast a spell. So something like that. And then I would go ahead and tank up on the Savage Orc Biggins. Some Night Goblin Archers there, definitely a good idea with the Rusty Airs. Let's grab some more Light Cows. So we're actually going to grab the Mangy Marauders as well. Squig Hoppers might not be a bad idea, but let's just grab a couple of Spider Riders. and maybe a couple wolf riders as well. In terms of infantry, we're maybe going to want a couple goblin meat shields here, maybe some actual night goblins. Let's actually grab the 2 regiments of renown for the poison and the armor sundering, and with 400 more points, maybe we grab 1 more unit of night goblins. You know, maybe we grab 1 more archer, 1 more spider rider. There's a lot you could do. Potentially even like a doom diver would be useful here. But just for the sake of today's video, we're going to go ahead and grab 1 more little gobbo here, and then I'm going to dump some of these chevrons into the spider riders here, so they have a little bit better combat stats. They'll do a little bit better against the Marauder horsemen. Something like this I think would be a bit better, but let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.